Namaste. My name is Neelima. Welcome to Reflections Along the Way podcast, where you will be listening to reflections from learnings and experiences along my life's journey. In the previous episode, we spoke about how dexterity in action is required to have a successful life. And we spoke about how we can achieve that by purifying and strengthening our mind and also being very alert and not let energy leakages take place. So how does the leakage of energy takes place? So how does the energy leak in the first place? In our present condition, we observe that, sometimes we feel so energetic, we are inspired by something, and then somehow we manage to drain it all away. So how do we block these leakages and preserve that energy so that we can become more efficient, right? So basically, the three leakages that happen are regrets about the past. The second one is anxieties about the future. And the third one is feverish excitement about the present. For many of us, a major source of leakage is regrets about the past. To illustrate that, Swami Ji has given an example in this section about a person named Joe, a student named Joe, who is an average student, but he has made up his mind that he wants to study really hard and he wants to get the top grade. So he really works for it. He studies very hard for it. But as the examination time approaches, then he's thinking to himself, I've never gotten a top grade. And then he doubts about his capabilities. And then he prepares himself for failure, saying that, okay, even if I do not get a top grade, I don't really need to get it, and I should be satisfied with just a passing grade and so on. So whatever his history has been in the past is taking a toll on what he can do at present. And because of all those doubts and confusions and, all those anxieties about whether he'd be able to perform based on his past, his energies are getting drained and his confidence levels are going away. So we can imagine how that would have an effect on his performance, right? This happens in a lot of habits. Like, for example, we want to wake up early every day in the morning, but we didn't have that habit before, and we kind of tell ourselves, I've tried to do this so many times, but I've failed, and I can't change that habit, and I'm just not a morning person, and all those kinds of things from the past, they come to disturb us, and they don't give us that motivation to even try or meet any new challenges. So that's why we don't get that energy to do that or to change whatever we could not do in the past. Now, a second source of energy leakage is the anxiety about the future. And to illustrate this, Swamiji gives another example of a student named Kamala, who is a top student. She always gets the top grade in the class. And she's preparing for her exams in graduate school. And the girl enters the examination hall and she looks so pale and, worried and all that. When she gets the question paper, she's so anxious about whether she can keep up with the expectation she has set upon herself to be the top student, and whether she can still maintain that. All that anxiety about what the results might be are in her head, and she feels dizzy, she feels weak, and then she sees the question paper and then there's like 15 questions and she's like, how can I answer so many questions in such a little time? With all that anxiety, she's even forgotten to read the instructions where it says you just answer any 3 questions. You see how that anxiety is clouding her capacity to focus on the examination? So because of her over anxiety about the results, her efficiency was lost. Many students fail in their exams not because they haven't studied or not because they're not intelligent enough. They fail because of such energy leakages, which kind of shake them and they lose their composure. So in any situation, be it in the workplace or a school or community, our success depends on the mental equanimity that we have and with which we can act. This leakages, as we've seen, can happen due to the memories or regrets from the past or due to anxieties about the future. Now, even if we overcome these two leakages, then there's a third cause of, leakage, and that is excitement in the present. Now, in some people, we do notice that they're working extremely hard, extremely long hours and all that. But then they also give a general impression of being very inefficient. And no one wants to give that kind of a person any work, right? And to illustrate that, Swami Ji again gives us a story here about a person named David. He works really, really hard, no doubt. But he cannot make decisions or he cannot come to any judgment. He comes to his desk and he looks at the files that are piled up there for him to handle. And he's really worried about the amount of the work by looking at the stack of files. And just when he's still worried about them, his secretary walks in with more files and places them on top of the stack. And by the time he starts working on those files, there's another file which is marked as priority, and then he is worried and dejected, and he's not motivated to continue with his work at that moment because he doesn't know where to begin. If David had the confidence and, if he had the composure, he would just take one file at a time, focus on it, make whatever decisions that need to be made, and just move on to the next file. And then the stack of files will decrease with time. All he had to do was go through them one by one and start somewhere, right? But he was so excited when he looked at that stack that his energy kind of just completely dissipated and he was not motivated to do any work, and that is why his efficiency was gone. So to sustain the energy, we have to focus completely on the activity that we are engaged in without letting the energy to be leaked in any one of the three ways that we had discussed previously. To be able to focus our energy and to be able to focus our energy on what we are doing right now is the highest creative act in the world. That is what Swami Ji says.